All right, I should be live. Doing these rosettes again. I will not be defeated by these little damn pastries. And as you can see from the imprints in the powdered sugar, I've done a couple and they actually turned out pretty good. So, I'm going to be doing them in my deep fryer this time around. Going to need a little bit more practice keeping a good hot frying type fire going in my stove. And if you look up there in the upper right hand corner, you can see a little 8R friend that I got. And let me turn off my damn email so we don't have that noise going on all the time. And yeah, I'm going to go over there. I think my oil is heated back up, and we'll see how things go. Let me say hi quick to people here. Got Granny Graham, Pat Z, Chris Salverson, Ron Coward, Raymond, Billy Lee, Honey Badger's here, Buzz Fork, Krusty Cast Iron, caught another live. That's good for him. I know there's some other people here. RT Scott, Corey Clark, they're here. Rick Green, Cynthia. Always nice to see Cynthia. Jim 44 is here. Go back a little farther. If I miss anybody, well, I'm sorry, but we'll say hi to you later, maybe. Ms. Moose is here. She's around. Let me get back here. I think I got most of the folks who are watching at the moment. And we will get these here rosettes underway again. Now, last time I think my biggest problem was I didn't have my oil quite hot enough. I got this set at 375 degrees and the little light is out, so it's warmed up good. And we will start. First, you gotta warm your irons up a bit. Just dunk them in the oil. Swirl them around for a few seconds. Just warm them up a bit. Shake the oil off, let them drip some. Maybe give them a little pat on a paper towel. Set him aside. I'll dunk this in. I'm going to dunk it in pretty shallow. You definitely don't want to go over the top because then they'll wrap around the top of the iron and you'll never get them off. But the first one, the iron is going to be a little bit oily, so it's not going to stick real good to the iron, but it should come off fairly easy. You want to fry these for about 30 or 40 seconds until they brown up good. Like I said, the first one isn't going to be the best example, but we'll get that in there. You can dunk your iron all the way into the oil. You just don't want to dunk it all the way into the batter. And let's see, that needs a little bit more to brown up what's on there. Yeah, it's browned on the edges. But you can see it didn't quite cover the iron all the way. But that's to be expected with your first one. And hopefully that'll come off there good. Piece there. And we're clean. Now the second one should turn out good. Dunk it in the batter. It's covered all around. And in we go. And hopefully you can see, I don't know if you can see down into the fryer, but that's bubbling along pretty good. I'll throw these guys over here. First little bit. And as they get closer to done, you'll see a little bit less bubbling coming off. It takes a few to see what's going on, but they're not really difficult when things work like they should. Whoops. That one's definitely going to come off good, because that one fell right off in the oil. And that is a good thing. You don't really want them to fall off if you can help it, but if they do, it makes life easier. Hopefully this time I'll be able to make a few of each of them. Now my iron might be a little bit too hot. I guess that can cause them to fall off while they're still in the oil. Like I said, I'm not going to get terribly excited about that if it happens, because then I know they're going to come off good. And you can see this one, hopefully, it's got a nice even golden brown to it. And that's what you want your rosettes to look like. That one should be done. Take it out, tip it over if it stays on the iron, so that you can drain the extra oil off. And it should, and it better, pop right off. So much nicer when things go right. I'll make one more like this, and then I'll give that heart-shaped one a try. Those are pretty cool. It makes a nice little heart-shaped cup. The batter will expand a little bit, and it'll kind of crawl up the sides of the iron some. So if you just dip it maybe halfway in, that seems to help good, or help them come off easier. It doesn't grab onto the iron quite so bad. And like I mentioned before, I got my little 8-armed friend sitting over there. I'll show you him later. And there's a surprise sitting underneath of him. I'll give that just a tiny bit more. You usually see when the top edges start to brown up nice, and that's when they're done. That one looks like he's about to fall off on his own. Give him just a little push, and it should come right off. That is so nice when they come off like they should. Set this iron aside. Put these guys over here. And we'll try this little bullseye iron. See how he goes. What am I cooking? I am making rosettes. They're a traditional Scandinavian kind of cookie type thing. It's a real simple batter. It's 2 eggs, a tablespoon of sugar, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a cup of milk. You beat the eggs lightly. You don't want to really beat them. You just want to get them stirred up good. Then you add your milk, a cup of milk, and then you slowly add in a cup of flour and make a nice smooth batter. You dip your rosette irons, or patty molds as they were sometimes known. You dip those in the batter. You don't want to go over the top of them, because then you can never get them off. Frog in my throat. Dip them in there and deep fry them. Like I said, I have this oil at 375, and that's about where you want to have it. I'll see on the next one. Let me see if I can get a little better view into actual fryer. That one looks about done. This is just a bamboo skewer. There. Now, this one here should turn out a little bit easier. Into the fryer. Yeah, you can see a little better. And it takes about 30 seconds a piece for them. So those are what Griswold deep patty bowls were used for? Yeah, that's what they were. You can use a Scotch bowl. You know, Scotch bowls work nice on the stove, or you can use a deep fryer. But yeah, the Griswold patty molds. And the patty molds, they came in two different sets with two different kinds of shapes. They also came in sets of all four with a patty bowl. And I think there were some sets that were patty bowls with each of the two different shapes. And 30, 40 seconds usually is all it takes. Get them browned up. Tip them off, let the extra oil drain. Then they should come right off. Let's see, I'll get these guys over here so I can dust them in a little bit. And we'll give that heart-shaped. That's the deep cup one. Get that warming up. That should be plenty. Doesn't take long to heat them up the first time. But there's a bit of extra oil on there, so the first time around, the batter doesn't stick very well, or in this case at all. Scrape that off. See if I can get a little bit of that excess off. I got some stuck, so I'll get it in there, and hopefully that'll get it primed for the next. Looks like a lot of it came off though as soon as I dropped her in. This one will not be pretty. But there's a lot of different makers. Wagner and Griswold, of course, made these. Alfred Andresen was known for making sets, and Nordic Ware has made them. Yeah, this one is pretty fragmentary. It doesn't really want to come on. Oh, there she's coming. Pretty fragmentary, but it should come off. Probably could have cooked that one a little bit longer too. But the next one ought to work good. Make sure I got all the little bits off into the batter. Yeah, the batter stuck nice that time. And in we go. Throw these little bits in there. Hooves for, I think it's $2. I can't really see from here. You got iron skillet catch-all. Yeah, that's one I haven't got around to cleaning up yet. So my wallet and keys and whatnot ends up in that for some reason. It's handy. What is that? I think that's a number 8 Wagner, actually. You wouldn't know it, but a number 8 Wagner skillet makes a really good catch-all for your keys and your wallet. This was taking a little bit longer, but we'll let her get browned up good so it pops off nice. Yeah, that browned up good. There's what it looks like on the outside. And hopefully that one will come right off. Cool. I'll flip them over so the oil inside can drain. Get another one going. Get this one done and then we'll dust them up and I think we'll eat some. Move my camera around so where you can see everything good. But yeah, the big thing is really get your oil hot enough. And I think that batter might have been a little bit, I might have thinned it a little bit too much. Because after the show, I tried some in the deep fryer with that same batter. And they had problems with them too. They didn't want to come off very well. So yeah, I need a little bit thicker batter. Get that up where you can see it. There's your little heart-shaped cup. You could fill that with whatever you felt like filling that with. It needs a little bit more. And I'll fish the little floaty bits out of my oil here in a second. Just a touch more. Yeah, that's browned up good. And come right off. We'll set this down. Let me see here. I think I will make a couple more. Make a couple more of these snowflake ones. I think my iron should still be warm enough. Well, the first one might not be perfect. Make 2 more of them and then we'll call it good. Yeah, I'm not sure how well you can see in the fryer, but when you first put it in, it bubbles up quite a bit. Then as it starts to brown, the bubbles will settle down a bit. You won't get quite as much, and that's kind of a sign they're about ready. Oops, get back in there. Hooves for $2 again. Thank you very much. I can't quite see what it says. Just far enough away that I'm out of range of decent eyesight. But there, hopefully you can see there's a lot less bubbling going on. It needs just a bit more browning though. I don't know about this one. It might want to struggle. Yeah, I'll give her back in the oil for a bit. See if it wants to brown up enough to come off nicer. might have been a good idea to warm the iron up a little bit before I hit it again. But that's browned up better. Let's see if that'll come off now. That one is not going to come off. Should have warmed the iron up first. But that's fried right on there good. So, don't make that mistake. Make sure your iron is good and hot before you do it. And let me get a handful of these fried bits out of here. All right. Let the oil drip off good. Hopefully these ones turn out a little better. That one looks like it'll come off good. You can see it pulling away from the iron. Well, you can't see it, but give that just a tiny bit more. And hopefully that one will pop off. Hopefully you can see that in the camera, but you can see it pulls away from the iron a bit. So that should come off without too much struggle. Yeah, just like that. And the next one should be just perfect. If I can get it in the batter right. And that'll be the last one for the time being. It's still got some browning to do. Put him over there. Just a little bit more. That's browned. It should come right off. There we go. I turned my oil off. Set these over here. This Let's see if this one's going to cooperate a little better now it's cooled off. Nope. So yeah, definitely make sure your iron is warmed up before you do it in. That must have cooled off a little more than I thought. And it just ain't going to come off. I'll end up scraping and picking that one off. But now, I'll come over here, grab a sifter with some powdered sugar, and give them all a nice dusting. And I'll flip these guys all over. I'll do both sides. Some people just do one side. I like to do both because why not? Then after the show is over, I will fry up some more, use up the rest of my batter. And in the meantime, let me turn off some of these lights that I don't need on anymore. Need that one. Let's see. This one here can go off. There can go off. I'll cover the lens so you don't get seasick when I move the camera. I'm going to move my microphone first. So if you hear a big thunk on the mic, that's what that was. Okay, now get my camera moved around. Hopefully without knocking something important over. That ain't too bad there. Let's grab these things here. And get myself a tray full of rosettes. Okay, should be pretty well set up. I gotta move in a little closer here, and my camera's cockeyed. That's a little more level. Okay. There we are. I'll have to backtrack and see what some of the comments were. But here, I can't even see them in there. It blows out. It's a whole pan full of rosettes. Now these things, there's not a whole lot to them. They're real light and really crispy. And you can eat a ton of them and hardly know that you have. But they're just wonderful, wonderful little things. And they're a traditional sort of Scandinavian thing this time of year. But you can make them any time of year you want. And the idea behind the patty molds is you can make these little crispy cups and fill those with all sorts of different things. Fruit jellies, fruit, whatever you felt like putting in them. But if you eat too many of them, you end up with powdered sugar all over the place, you end up looking like Scarface. All right, let me back up a little bit here. Cat's in solitary confinement. I'm not sure where she is. She's around here somewhere. She actually laid down with me while I took a nap this afternoon and behaved herself. Usually she's only good for about an hour and a half. This time she went 3 hours before deciding to wake me up, so that ain't too bad. Just have to eat the mold on that one. Yeah, that's going to take a bit of scraping and scratching to get that one clean. So yeah, get your oil up to 375 degrees. Make sure your iron is hot first, otherwise it'll definitely stick. And then don't dunk your iron all the way into the batter. Make sure you leave a little space along the top edge, and you should be good. And you saw how well those worked. Now the prices on Griswold patty molds, I've seen them all over the place. I've seen sets in a box sell anywhere from 18 to 58. So they're kind of all over. Usually the Nordic ware ones, there's cast iron ones and aluminum ones, and some of them they have a split handle on them, so you can do two at a time, which is kind of handy. Those are usually 15-20 bucks around there for a set, so you can get them pretty reasonable. Let's see here. Cat's probably under the cake mold. Yeah, no, I'm not sure where she's off to. She's not hiding behind the monitor, and I don't see her in the bathroom, so she might be in the living room by the stove. She likes it by the stove, strangely enough. She'll crawl right underneath the cook stove when I got that going. I wonder how close that batter is to fortune cookie batter. Not terribly. The fortune cookie is a little more beaten. It's airier. It probably has more egg to it, and it's a lot sweeter. These aren't very sweet. There's a tablespoon of sugar in there, but they just got a slightly sweet taste to them. Got to back up and see what. You're eating pepperoni rolls, a PA delicacy. That sounds good. But you probably stole the idea from Totino's pizza rolls. Let's see here. What else we got here? Yeah, the cast iron skillet catch-all. Free mini. No, she ain't being restrained for once. She's actually behaving and just hiding out somewhere. How do I like the new stove so far? It's real good. It bakes real nice. The oven, it's easier to keep a nice steady temperature on it than my other one was. I haven't quite figured out frying on it yet. I'll have to spend a little time figuring out how to fire it right to get a decent job frying things. Didn't work too bad last time, but could have been a little bit better. And I gotta find exactly where the hottest spots on it are. Where it cooks best. But I haven't checked it yet. But the eyes on that are a little bit bigger than my other one, so that odorless skillet I had should work a little better on that. I'll have to give that a try. But yeah, that's what your deep patty bowl is for doing these. Let me show you. I got the box here for the Griswold ones. There's the inside of the Griswold. This is a little bit older one. I think this is from the 30s and 40s, and they changed a little bit in the 50s. There you can see they got a patty bowl sitting on top of a single burner Griswold gas burner, and that's what you can do with the little molds. But yeah, that's what the powdered sugar on my fingers. That's what the patty bowls are for, if you ever wondered. Set this aside. Then there's the big, that's an old Alfred Anderson box. Got a big notice on there. He'll get you if you pay less than 50 cents for these. So these ones here were marked for $1, so I'm safe. Let me put my glasses on. I'll read you the, whoops, what's going on here? Sigurd's here. Been using a Guardian Service warmer bowl to hold your keys and wallets for 30 years. Didn't know what it was till he saw it on Antiques Roadshow. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of a convenient spot where I unload my pockets when I get home. And strawberry jam, you could fill them with that. Oh, the California acorn pan. You're wondering what the acorn pan looks like. They're a pretty rare Lodge corn stick pan type of thing. Only instead of corn, they have these really elongated acorns. It's got an acorn cap on one end and long, really long acorn. And there's a species of oak on the west coast that has the really long, elongated acorns. And if you make corn sticks in it, they end up looking like a marital aid of some sort. Try to get caught back up in here. Add brie cheese to the heart with jam. Yeah, that'd be really good. Or you can make like a cream cheese type of thing, or even a cheesecake batter sort of thing, or cheesecake filling. Really like full and big cups. Well, you can get some. They aren't really huge cups, but you can definitely fill them up nice. That's about a little better than an inch, about an inch and a half deep, maybe inch and a quarter. It's a couple inches across. Am I Scandinavian? Yeah, on my father's side was mostly Norwegian. Mother's side was mostly Welsh, so descended from Celts and Vikings. Don't those metal handles get hot? No, they don't. They stay cool if you grab it right down by the iron. They're warm, but they're thin enough that they don't really transfer much heat. I found a John Wright coffee grinder today. It has a wheel on each side to turn it. Need to find her make a top lid for it. Really cool item. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I've seen John Wright teapots, and of course the the baking molds, the baking dishes of all the different styles of stuff that Wright did. Seen a couple other John Wright things. Can't think what they are offhand, but I've never seen a John Wright coffee grinder. Randy Maple, yeah, long time no see. Been busy working. Marital aid, that was diplomatic. Yeah, they're pretty phallic looking when you get done with them. It's like making brownies in a corn stick pan and they look like turds. But anyhow, I was going to show you this guy. Where's his face? I got me another cake mold. These are kind of fun. I mean, you can usually find these fairly inexpensively around in different shops. The brand new ones, Nordic Ware still makes quite a few different ones, but a lot of them have been discontinued over the years. But the new ones usually around $40-$45, but you can find used ones pretty reasonable, $10-$15 usually. And that is a cool little octopus pan. They're all about 10 cups. Kind of hard to see on the rim, but it says 10 cups on it, which would be like a box and a half if you're making a cake mix from a box. So, yeah, I'll have to make me a little Cthulhu cake here one of these days. But the other cool thing I found, which is really cool, I got a string to cut here quick. String, it's all strung together. There we go. I paid, they wanted, see that, $39.99. But since I'm old enough to be counted among the ancients, I got 30% off, so it was $29.99. I got a pre-Griswold Alfred Anderson Kroomkaka iron. The base is pretty rough. A lot of pitting on the base, and I think there's a crack in it. Not a real bad one, but you can see the base has been pretty rough. And you might be able to see some glitter on there. They say glitter is the herpes of the craft world. It's also the herpes of the back room of a secondhand shop. But yeah, the back you can really see it's pretty pitted and rough, but it's base, so I'm happy with that. A little bit of sulfur pitting on the iron itself on the front. The back is plain. But these were made in the 1890s and the very early 1900s before Anderson contracted with Griswold to make, their the heart-shaped waffle irons and the Kroomkaka irons. Open this guy up again. There's the inside of the Kroomkaka iron. And I'm sure these were made by a local foundry, probably in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in that area. There's the All-American Stove Company there in Shakopee, Minnesota. They might have made it. I think they were in business at that time. But the pre-Griswold Anderson stuff you don't see very often. They made these Kroomkaka irons. They made kind of a cross-shaped waffle iron, or X-shaped if you turned it a little bit. They made a cross-shaped waffle iron. I think they also made a heart-shaped waffle iron. But yeah, these are markedly different than the Griswold produced pieces. You don't see them very often, and even with a pretty rough base on it, definitely worth the $30 I paid for it. So I was tickled to find that. And that's meant to sit on the wood stove and just give her a flip over. Either way. Quit hitting your thumbs with it, but you wouldn't have your thumbs in there if it was on the, what's a Kroomkaka? Kroomkaka, Kurmkake. It's a wafer. You mix up a batter and you put it on there. It's a real thin wafer, similar to an Italian pizzelle. And it's a real thin wafer, and you make it in your iron like this, kind of a waffle iron type of thing. And when it comes out, it's nice and flexible, so you roll it up on a cone, and you make a little cone-shaped thing with it. As it cools, it hardens up, and you can fill it with whatever you want to fill it with. Cannoli filling is really good in them, but you can fill them with, anything sweet, anything savory, and they're a little cone-shaped thing, or you can do like you do with your rosettes and just powder them a little powdered sugar and eat them plain. Set down there. Get that out of my way. But yeah, you can eat lots and lots of rosettes. Your mother called them scrolls. But yeah, they're another Scandinavian thing. They're big in Norway, Sweden, Denmark. A little bit of variations on them. But yeah, there's a lot of. Is that Kroomkaka or is that that's It's a waffle iron. I've got an Anderson, a newer one made by Griswold. I was going to show you where to put them. In fact, hang on a second here. Speaking of Anderson and his irons, get the pile iron going for me here. There we go. And this guy tucked away again. And settled in. So wheeled back in here. Need to make some. Probably will over the winter. I don't think next week, but very soon. This here is a Alfred Anderson heart-shaped design waffle iron. And you can probably tell if you've seen a Griswold waffle iron hinge that this was made by Griswold. The base for these is the same as the base for a number 8 Griswold waffle iron. So a lot of times you can find usually not the heart-shaped waffle ones, they're a little more expensive, but the Anderson, there's a Krumkaka iron, cornucopia Krumkaka, and written backwards on the inside. This is made by Griswold too, and that's what those look like. Now the bases that were made specifically for these by Griswold, they kind of wiped out the Griswold part number and they put WIC near the underside of the base of the handle. And WIC was Western Importing Company. That's the company that Anderson owned. There's many, just might have seen her a little bit there. That's the company that Anderson owned. And he got ran off about 1915, 1920 or so. Did Anderson work for Griswold? No. He was he had the Western Importing Company, and they sold things like this, mainly aimed at Scandinavian immigrants in Minnesota, Wisconsin, out in the Dakotas. Krumkaka irons, a lot of things like that. And you'll see later on, you'll see waffle irons and Krumkaka irons like that. That's a Western Importing Company. Those were made from about 1915 on up to 1930, where the Anderson ones were made, before 1920 anyway. Now, I actually have 2 of these, and I just got done making a pair of handles for it. There's the one original handle I had between 2 waffle irons, and I made a pair of handles for one of these waffle irons. You can see that the Krumkaka irons are pretty much the same design, but they're a good bit longer. I like the longer ones better because those are a little too short. A lot of waffle irons had too short of a handle on them for my big hands. Always end up burning myself on the waffle iron right about there. But things are coming along to where I can make pretty reasonable reproductions of waffle iron handles. And as I get set up a little better, what I'm going to do is make myself a profile gauge for that so I can actually get the same thing every time. These aren't perfectly identical, but they're pretty damn good for just eyeballing it with a chisel on the wood lathe. And I think it was Huey mentioned he needed handles for either a waffle iron or a Kroomkaka iron. And as I get better at it and get more examples, I should be able to start making some wooden handles for replacing waffle iron handles if you need them. But anyway, yeah, that's the Kroomkaka iron. And maybe in a couple 3 weeks I'll do some of these on the wood stove because they're fun to do on the wood stove because you can. It's nice when you can just flip the damn thing over in the base like they're meant to be made. And someday I'll get that one seasoned up. Really cleaned up nice though. Nice and clean inside and out. But yeah, a lot of times you can get if you need a base for a number 8 Griswold waffle iron, a lot of times you can find a Anderson or Western Importing Company Kroomkaka iron or waffle iron for a good bit cheaper than you can find a Griswold base by itself. I've seen Kroomkaka irons with a base sell for $50, where just a Griswold base all by itself would sell for $100, and it's kind of crazy. And if you already have a Griswold base, and you come across a stray iron like this that doesn't have a base, well, they're a direct interchange of the same thing. Set that aside. Yeah, these I'm pretty happy with the way those turned out. That's a black lacquer finish I put on them because that's what was on the original ones. It's kind of worn on the one spot there. But originally they were black lacquered for a lot of different brands, so I'm going to go with that. Some weren't. Some seem to have more like an oil finish on them. I noticed a lot of the Wagner ones I've seen with the wooden handles, they weren't lacquered like that. They seemed to have more like an oil finish. But pretty soon, I'm slowly getting to the point where I'll be able to make decent reproductions of waffle iron handles for people that need them. Not going to be a tomorrow type of thing, but progress is being made. But anyway, just warm up in here to be a little sweaty. Did the lacquer come from a spray can? Yes, it did. You can get a spray lacquer, and I really like the finish. It gets a real nice high gloss finish, and it lays down smooth. Picked up a Nordic mini bundt cake pan last week. Got it at a thrift store for $5. I know about you. Those are single serving cakes, right? Yeah, they're Nordic Ware made a ton of. They over the years, and you can still get brand new. They made tons of different bakewares, different cake pans, and some of them they got the little mini bundt cakes. They got like 6 of them all in one tray, for little single serving cakes. There is some Nordic Ware cast iron, but the vast majority of the stuff they've made is cast aluminum. Great to see someone making handles. Yeah, I mean it's if you can do it on a wood lathe, and like I say, last time I really used a wood lathe was back in high school, and I didn't do all that much then, but it turned out pretty good, went pretty well. So once I get get a profile gauge, cut it out of a piece of heavy aluminum that has, so you can get the shape of it, check to make sure that the lines are just right on them so they're reasonably identical. That'll be a big help. That'll take a little bit of monkeying around, but like I say, they should be coming in the reasonably near future. Probably by spring or so, I should be able to make something up if you need something. Because yeah, had different people ask, hey, where can I get these? Can you get these? And and yeah, if I can make you something, get you set up. I figure out what the price is on them yet. I haven't got anywhere near that stage, but I won't put too much of a bite on you. Oak? No, those are hard maple actually that I made those out of. Wood turning is such fun. It is kind of fun. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it. Watch some of the videos on YouTube. Some of the things these guys make are just unreal. Are the BSR number 7 chicken skillets hard to find? I've got one with a lid. You've seen number 8. I don't recall ever coming across a number 7 chicken skillet BSR, so they probably are. Usually the 95% or better of chicken fryers, you see, they're almost always a number 8. So yeah, if you got a number 7, that's probably a pretty unusual piece to have. What brand lacquer? I think it's Rust-Oleum. Comes in just a regular spray paint can, and you can get it. Places that have a little more spray paint. Your better, bigger hardware stores. I think Walmart has it even, and it's just lacquer. Black lacquer. But yeah, it gets a really nice, smooth, high gloss finish. So pretty thrilled with them. If you have a knocked my mouse off. If you have another number 7 with a lid, you scored. Yeah, like I said, pretty much every other chicken fryer I've ever seen has been a number 8. So a 7, yeah, that's definitely an odd size. It's like Dutch ovens. 8s, 8s are the most common. 9s and 10s you see, but like a 6 or a 7 for any Dutch oven is really scarce, really hard to find. So yeah, you probably got something that's definitely worth a good bit of money too. Just used a Rust-Oleum 2X spray paint Coleman stove. Shocked at how amazing. Yeah, the Rust-Oleum, the 2X, has got a lot more pigment in it. That stuff really works good, and most of them have a built-in primer, so you can just go right over bare metal with them. But anyway, yeah, I've been at this for almost an hour now. That's how rosettes are supposed to turn out. And like I said, I'll finish up my batter here and probably take some into work when I go tonight. And hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you come across, cheap rosette irons, go ahead and get them because they're kind of a fun thing and they're tasty. Real simple batter, 2 eggs, cup of milk, cup of sugar, or a cup of flour, pinch of salt, and a little sugar, and away you go. Anyway, I'll be back next week and we'll do something different. We'll see what comes up in the meantime. Jimmy Langford has a Western importing company, made handles out of dowels. Could use some of the handles. Yeah, like I said, once I get scaled up into full production, we'll see what I can set you up with. Anyhow, we'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you later. Bye.